Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Discord channel linked in the description. You can also find that at the top of the chat. You can find updates there, chat with other traders, share ideas. You can, of course, see what other people are looking to trade. I share some of my ideas there as well. So if you are looking to join a community, check it out. Links in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Amit, good morning. Hope you're well. What's up, Ivan? What's up, Lebzy? Welcome to the stream. Hope everyone is doing good this Tuesday morning. So as always, guys, we'll go through USD side of things first. We'll go through dollar, USD majors, gold, silver, indices as well. Any requests, let me know. Put it in the chat. Of course, any particular time frames you want me to look at, let me know as well. As always, I spend most of the time on the 4-hour chart, but if you're looking at other time frames, let me know as well so I can be of help. But we'll start with the dollar as well. What's up, cricket lover? New here from Pakistan. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, I mean, in the streams here, we kind of just go through multiple markets, pretty much any market that someone wants to look at, or maybe I'm looking at. We'll go through, kind of discuss current price action, potentially what we could be looking at next, where potentially could we find some opportunities. If I'm any trades, I'll look to share them. Of course, if anyone on the chat wants to share some of their trades, they can do that as well, discuss, see what's happening, and of course just have a good time as well. But yeah, welcome to the stream. What's up, Antonio? Afternoon, hope you are doing good. So we'll start with the dollar. So USD did see some weakness yesterday. We were looking pretty bearish. I do still favor some upside because we're still just about respecting some structure, the prior high over here to the left, which I'm looking to see if price can use that as support. I'm looking to see if we can bounce from there. Yesterday, in fact, we had a nice wick piercing through that zone, and we did close somewhat bullish there. So I'm looking to see if we can continue that bounce. Of course, this morning we have closed bearish again, but still mainly in that area of support. So it is very critical that price does look to bounce from here. If not, I still do have a bullish bias for the dollar. I'm still looking for that upside move, but I'll be a bit more cautious and probably a bit more hesitant to jump into any positions that do favor some USD strength. I won't be looking to sell the dollar because it's just not the appropriate place to do that. If price does break lower, well, it just means that that support isn't holding, not necessarily that dollar is going to continue to collapse. We very much could pull back deeper, maybe come back and test this kind of area of demand roughly, and potentially push up from there. So this is all still bullish territory. Anywhere from this level to that low is an area where price could potentially turn around. At the moment, I'm focused more so on this area because, of course, it has proven to be solid resistance, which, of course, could turn into support. It was support last week as well, so I'm looking to see if we can bounce from there. At the moment, looking pretty bearish, but we'll see if things can turn around. We have seen some rejection from yesterday. Potentially, that could look to continue. If not, like I said, then I'm looking at 99.6. This kind of area, last point of call for us to potentially turn around. If, of course, price was to break through that completely, well, then, yeah, we're probably looking at a very bearish USD at that point, and we can probably expect price to push back to the low here at 98,200. But the overall plan for me for the dollar is still very much longer-term sells. Again, very much looking at the continuation of this bearish drop from the start of the year. If I whip out the fib from the high to the low, I do like that area which the 50 is lining up pretty well at, which is this brief pause in the market, and then we had a very strong move down. I'm looking to see if we can come back to test that area before potentially continuing. So I'm looking to see if I can find some buys on the way up and then maybe some sells on the way down. But we'll see if that does come into action. But the key low, the key point I'm looking at is this level here, 99.169. Because that would justify whether I still expect price to continue up or potentially continue up. Or if we break it, then yeah, lows at 98 look pretty likely at that point, and probably even further as well. Euro USD, I'm pretty much looking at the exact opposite, and I did hop into a sell yesterday off the back of this one, pretty much as the dollar had that rejection yesterday with this candle and that bullish candle there. We got the same with Euro. So I did have a stab at that entry with stops above the high, basically as price came back to test a similar area. Of course, they're very inversely correlated, so it's pretty much the same price action flipped most of the time. But you can see essentially we're coming back to test that same level. We came back to reject it as well. And I'm basically looking to see if I can catch another lower high at this area here for a push into the low. Same reasoning as well. If I expand to the higher time frames, essentially, price has broken through some major highs here to the left. Price is quite overextended. We've had some really impressive wick rejection. I'm looking to see if there's a bit more downside back into this area before potentially Euro looks to continue. Same situation as the dollar as well. If I measure with the fib, lines up pretty well with the 50. So it's pretty much copy and paste, just inverted between the DXY and Euro USD. So when the DXY looks like potentially we might see a move up, that potentially could give me a nice sell on Euro, and of course vice versa as well. And at the moment, I hopped into a short, stops above the high, above the resistance level more so. So as long as price can respect that, I stay short. If price does start to break through that, I'll stop out and walk away. Again, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to buy the market at that stage. I think we still do have to break structure as well for me to really be looking for Euro to push back to highs, because it might just be a situation where we have a deeper pullback than expected. If price was to rally through the high here, then yeah, that would definitely make me bullish and expect Euro to push back to 1.155 at that stage, which is the high up there. But for now, still respecting structure, so still looking for a push lower, but it's key that we do respect that resistance as well. Pound USD was quite bullish yesterday, but didn't really get going. Still had some wicks to the upside as we kind of come back into some areas of supply on the left there. But the reason why I don't really like Pound USD is because we have broken through this counter trend line here, and that kind of signifies bullish momentum to me. Not that we can't still roll over, and trend line breaks are not the be all or end all. Structure's a lot more important to me, so price has to break through the high here for me to really kind of justify possible continuation for pound. A trend line break is a signal that might come potentially. But yeah, because we have broken through the trend line, I've lost some confidence there. So I'm no longer confident trying to short pound USD. And at this point, I think we could probably make our way back to resistance at 1.343. And then we'll see what happens there. Potentially price respects it. Maybe we break through and have a massive breakout. Either is pretty likely. Of course, we're coming into major resistance if you look to our left here. So again, that's another reason why I'm not really looking to buy pound USD, because although we have had that trend line break, we're approaching major resistance to our left. So it's not the most appropriate place for a buy, especially if you're looking at a swing position. Intraday, you can probably get in and out pretty quickly. If you're looking to hold a trade for more than a day, 2 days, you might run into trouble there. But yeah, pound USD looks like it's probably going to approach resistance at this rate. Dollar CAD, again, looking for the same idea as well, looking for a bounce for continuation higher before some sells, because I'm still very bearish dollar CAD on the higher time frames. I'm looking at the high over here, which created this low, then that high, which created this low here as well. So we do have some lovely bearish structure at play there. And the plan has been for dollar CAD, basically looking for the next lower high for another short back to the lows and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to see if I can catch that next lower high. At this moment, I do want to see a bit more upside because I'm expecting it to be a much bigger pullback than what we have already. The pullback is pretty shallow right now. Not to say that we can't sell off from here, we definitely can, but in terms of an area which I would like to short from and I would have a lot of confidence to do so, I need price to push a little bit higher. I'm looking at both of these levels as really nice levels to short from, in particular this level here as well. So it would be nice if we can get a swing back to that level, but at this moment in time, might not be looking as likely, but you can see it lines up pretty well with the 50 there too. So ideally, I would like to see this kind of happen, then shorts, and that would be a really nice swing to capitalize on. But we'll see. In the meantime, though, I do think some buys could look good for dollar CAD, but I would wait to see if we can push a little bit lower first. This was support from last week over here. Of course, it was resistance prior to that, but we did hold support very nicely here. So again, if you're looking for a buy for dollar CAD, I would wait to see if we can push back into support, reject that well, and look for a bounce there. Nice kind of double bottom situation. And yeah, targets back to the high of the range. Makes a load of sense. You can start to potentially look at some of those levels. But at least a push back to the high makes sense there for dollar CAD. So yeah, that's what kind of I'm looking for dollar CAD as well. We kind of had that breakthrough, that descending channel a few weeks back very, very well. So the idea is that we've had a sharp impulse, looking at this as a correction for potentially a continuation. So that remains the plan there for dollar CAD. Aussie dollar, yeah, with this one, very awkward price action, I must say. It looks like price is starting to put some lower highs in, but I'm not quite convinced. This to me looks like an ascending channel when I'm looking for price to have that deeper retracement before we do, there we go, before we do continue to the upside, because I'm still very bullish Aussie dollar longer term. I do think Aussie dollar can really push to the upside. I'm looking at this price action as potentially a big inverse head and shoulder pattern. So you got your left head and possibly your right shoulder. But I do want price to push down for a number of reasons. Two in particular is that price has had a very big move to the upside already. So naturally a pullback would be my expectation. And number two, you can see how corrective we are since mid-April. Price has been very, very corrective in this ascending channel. And typically when we are moving in an ascending channel, you expect price to eventually break to the downside. Potentially could be a reversal, could just be a bigger retracement. But when the market is moving like this, it's not a sign of a healthy trend. It's not a sign that the buyers are very much in control. It's a sign that they're very fatigued. More sellers are entering the market. So I do think we can have that dip. And when we do, and hopefully when we do, then I'm looking for some buys around the 0.625 area. That would be my preferred area for a long for Aussie dollar. And then hopefully catch some buys and ride it back to the highs and so on and so forth. Because I'm basically looking at this as a bottom for the market after that long bearish trend we had. So now I'm expecting us to kind of trend to the upside now a little bit. So yeah, Aussie dollar, I'm long-term bullish, but just don't have an opportunity to buy it yet. Or at least I do have an opportunity, just price isn't not quite there yet. And that's about it for Aussie dollar. I wouldn't be looking to sell it. We got support below us. And overall, this price action is just very, very choppy. So I would stay away until price action becomes clearer. New Zealand dollar, kind of a similar bias to Aussie dollar. I do think the bigger swing is to the upside as well. Massive rally from the low here all the way to the high. I'm basically looking at this as like a pullback, if you will, for price to continue higher. So the plan I have with NZUSD is again looking for a big buy, but I do want price to approach resistance here around 0.58. And I'm looking to see if we can push back into that level, maybe take out some of these lows, and then hopefully find some entries there to go long, back into resistance, and potentially further than that as well. But this is really where I want to find my entries, and up there is kind of where I want to have my targets as well. I do think we can go further. Probably will leave positions to run, but at least the push back to the high, I think, makes for a really nice trade. So yeah, NZUSD at the moment, kind of consolidation in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't really look to touch price at all. If you have another drive lower, maybe take out some of the weaker lows here, push back into some healthy resistance, now turn support. If we can see some suitable rejection there, I think that's a great place to go long, and could be looking at a swing back to resistance where the risk reward looks pretty good on that position. So definitely going to keep an eye on NZUSD and see how that develops. And in terms of gold, didn't really see much yesterday with gold, to be honest. Like I said, I think overall gold is still very much in a bullish trend, and we are we are actually in a very smart place for a buy. But we haven't actually come back and tested support since last week yet. We might still do that, but overall, since we last spoke, price has only just moved sideways, really. So not a lot to update on there. But I said yesterday, if gold can push back down into support, I think that'll be a nice place for an entry. If you're not already entered back there, maybe some stocks below the low, I think that'll be a smart place for a trade, because you can probably trade it back into the middle of the channel, which is where that dotted line is. I think that will be the first kind of major level of resistance where price might roll back over against you. So that could be a good point to book some profits or trade a stop, however you want to manage it. If price can manage to break through that, then you could be looking at the up end of the channel. Same again, great place to book some profits or trade a stop, or even close the trade and just call it a day there. That'll be a nice trade in itself. But the thing with gold is that we're still in a very much a bullish climate, a bullish trend. So if price does respect this area and do start to pick up some momentum, who knows? It could take you back to highs, new all-time highs, and maybe 3,700. You know, we could see gold skyrocket again. You know, this trend is still alive. Yes, we're kind of getting some signs that maybe it's about to slow down. But the thing is, sometimes when you get those signs of it maybe slowing down, that's when it picks up again. So yeah, gold I'm still bullish. No major break of structure. Still respecting support. So it still has my bullish vote for now. But in terms of a trade, I would wait for us to approach support again. And in terms of silver, not a big fan of silver, to be honest. Again, as a whole, I'm still bullish on silver. I still think we can get a nice rally back to the highs here on the left at 35 and break through them as well. But just there's not a lot to do with the current price action. This to me looks like a massive range, so I'm not really too interested with it, especially when we've had a rally as well. I want us to push down into levels of support, and then I can base some trades from that. So I wouldn't mind the push back into 31 or 29. I think those are more appropriate places to try and catch some swing positions. This might be a situation where we've had an impulse and maybe price is correcting itself for potentially a continuation. That could be the case. I'm not really interested in trading that, to be honest. A little bit too messy for me. Support has held very well over here. So as I have suggested last week as well, that if price does push back into support, I think this is a great place to be looking to long, maybe on the hourly chart. Find some more refined entries, catch a reaction to the upside. We are pretty consistent with these lower highs, so I would watch out for that trend line there. But this looks like a nice trade for a day or two. Maybe you catch a breakout, but I would be cautious of price coming straight back down again. But yeah, for a bigger swing trade, 31 here, that could interest me. Some major low, major support level there, so that can interest me for a buy. And of course, definitely this level at 29, major support, that would be an interesting place to buy from. Other than that, don't really see much on silver. Just very, very choppy at this moment in time. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD for now. Okay, so where was I? I made not much movement on London session. No, not as a whole, no. Yeah, USD's been pretty flat. Want to learn trading? Well, you're in the right place. I do have a course with elevatingtraders.com. Completely free to go through, kind of a nice, has a nice introductory part of the course as well, and it teaches you a lot of technical analysis. I would recommend stay tuned with the streams as well. That would be a great way to learn as well. I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel titled Forex Education. There's a lot of videos there you can look to learn from as well. What's up, John? Good morning. I am doing good. Thank you. Hope you are doing good as well. Glad to see you on the stream. Motta, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're well. John, do you see a buy for used JPY? I will take a look for that one. Yen pairs have been pretty bearish, haven't they? I've been expecting a bit of a buy for them, but they're just been slowly dropping to the downside. I still do favor the buy. So yeah, I'll go through that shortly. Moffat, New Zealand yen, yes, we'll take a look. No problem. Dow Jones, sure thing, and Tony will take a look as well. But yeah, I'll go through dollar yen first, and I'll take a look at New Zealand yen and US 30. Probably go through some other indices as well. But yeah, USD JPY, do I still see a move to the upside for it? Well, coming to the week, yes, I still do see a move to the upside. The market has been bleeding a little bit, still pushing down. It is overall still pretty corrective for me, so I'm still under the impression that we can see a drive higher. You know, this was our low, which gave us this swing to the upside, creating this high. So this is our bullish leg. So technically speaking, price can pull back anywhere within this leg and still give us that continuation back into resistance and maybe further. The way I'm seeing how price is moving, it's very slow. It's not like we're falling aggressively to the downside. You know, we are very slow on the way down. So it's still overly corrective. And because of that, I still am expecting a swing to the upside. Now, the first area I was looking at was price coming back into this high, kind of filling that gap as well, looking for a bounce there. That has not happened. Price had a slight reaction, but has since broken through that level. So the next point of call I have is this level here, which I believe, okay, no, we haven't quite hit that level. We're close to it anyway. This prior high over here, which potentially could be taken as support. I feel like that would be a healthy area for a buy. I believe it lines up pretty well with 0.786, which is just kind of floating below. But that would still be a very healthy place for a buy if I can see some healthy rejection, a double bottom, maybe a nice piercing wick and a bullish engulfing candle followed afterwards. Anything like that in this area, I think that could be a smart place for a buy. And if it does play out, your risk reward is looking pretty good. If you can catch a swing to the upside back into resistance there, you know, especially if you can maybe enter on the hourly time frame, you know, you're looking at a pretty decent swing there, and price has a lot of room to move into. You could probably look at this maybe as a first target for the trade. So buy from here, you know, lock in some gains there, and then if everything goes well, close the rest there, or however you want to manage it. But the point I'm trying to drill home is that there is a lot of room for us to potentially see dollar yen move into, which means a good risk reward potentially. So I like the dollar yen setup. It has been a bit more bearish than I expected with other yen pairs included, but nothing has intrinsically changed about the structure. We haven't become very bearish. We haven't taken up any key lows. So the bias still stands. My expectation still stands of a swing back into resistance. So I'll keep an eye on 144. I think that's the level which I would focus on now. And then, yeah, targets back to 148.5 would be the kind of the end goal of the trade, you could say. So, yeah, still bullish on dollar yen. New Zealand yen, I do really like. That pair is on the watch list. I'm looking to see if price can push a little bit deeper. I'm looking to see if I can get a double bottom at the low here. I've got a couple of areas which I like the look of. Preferably, I would like to see a push back into support here, but I think I'm being a bit too optimistic with that. I don't think price will have enough juice to get there, roughly 84, 83.5. Because what I'm looking at is a inverse head and shoulder pattern, left head, possibly right shoulder, if we can make it there for the bounce. So I don't think we will, but hey, I'm not gonna, you know, take that too seriously, because we might do that. You know, the market will surprise you. But what is a little bit more realistic would be potentially double bottom here. So I'm looking to see if we can get something like that, and then the rally to the upside. So this is something I am after, and of course, I'll keep a close eye on buys down there as well. But these are the two setups I'm looking at for New Zealand yen. So you can see I'm still pretty bullish on the yen pairs. I still think yen can see some weakness as well. So as a whole, I do think we're going to get some rallies for the yen pairs. Of course, some will move better than others. I still think USD can potentially see some strength as well, so that should help out dollar yen. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, in terms of setups for dollar yen, this is what I'm interested in. Still looking at buys here to the upside. We did just about break structure to our left, which is a pretty strong bullish indication for New Zealand yen. We had a massive sell-off. This was our lower high in the market, which gave us the low here. The continuation of this bearish structure. Everything was looking all nice and bearish until we got this leg, which actually went and took out the highs. So that's changed my directional bias completely with New Zealand yen. And now I'm focused on the buys, looking to see if we can get it back into resistance. So yeah, we'll keep a close eye on those two setups, double bottom there, or we get back into some significant support to our left and potentially use that for a buy. But either which way, I'm only looking to take New Zealand yen to the upside. Good morning, Canute. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Let's take a look at US 30. We'll probably go through some other USD pair indices as well. I'll probably finish up and go through the rest of the yen pairs as well. But yeah, Dow Jones still looking pretty bullish. Nice rally. Was that yesterday? Yeah, nice rally yesterday. Looks like price has almost broken structure. I was about to say we have, but not quite yet. But I do think we'll do it anyway, mainly because US 100, the NAS and S&P have already broken their respective highs a long time ago, a couple of weeks back now actually. And they've been looking very, very bullish since then. So S&P, NAS look like they're destined to get back to their all-time highs right now. So because of that, US 30, 9 times out of 10 is going to follow suit. Might be a little bit slower, but it's probably going to move in the same direction. So I'd only be looking at buys for New Zealand. I would only be looking at buys for New Zealand yen. But for US 30, I would only be looking for buys for this one as well. I know we're trading in an interesting area. Looks like we're just about breaking through the 200 moving average, which is pretty pivotal as well. But we are trading in resistance, so I wouldn't be looking for any long-term buy from here. I wouldn't want to position myself long, expecting a massive swing from this area. Even though my bias is that I expect price to break through this area and keep going, it's not a smart place because you are trading into an area of supply, resistance, not the place where you want to hold a long-term buy. What you want to see is either price push down away from that area, then pick up a long, somewhere further down, because you're way better positioned to hold a long-term swing from down here than up in resistance. Or of course, wait for price to break through that area and then pull back, maybe even using that same area as support. Then again, you're better positioned to hold a longer swing trade. In current price, we're still in resistance, still at supply. So personally, I wouldn't be looking for any long-term buy. I think maybe intraday you might find yourself a sneaky buy. If we can pull back into resistance here to our left, that could be a nice buy, perhaps on like an hourly or even a 15-minute chart. Ride it back to highs like that. I think that could be a nice trade for a day or two. But that's about it. It could go a lot further, of course, but you do run the risk of potentially price having that bigger pullback against you. Just because of where you're trading. So dollar yen. For US 30, bullish bias. I do think a lot more upside is likely. Quickly take a scan on the S&P. You can see this is overall bullish as well. We broke structure a long time ago. If I go take a look at NAS 100, very bullish as well, broke structure as well. So I expect that to continue high. So US 30 is no different. But we are trading in some resistance and we have to pay respect to that. So I'll be a bit cautious with that, but the buys still look good for now. Still seeing healthy momentum. I still think we can see a rally to the upside for the Dow Jones. If I'm looking to trade US 100 or US 500, I probably would wait for a pullback, to be honest, because they are looking a little bit more tired now. Don't get me wrong, they're still very bullish on the higher time frames. As you can see, we broke structure a while ago. We broke above the 200 a while ago. This is the NASDAQ. In regards to the S&P, again, you can see broke structure there as well. Broke above the 200. So for both of them, I do expect us to rally back into the all-time highs at 61.36 there for the S&P. and for Nasdaq at 22,200, we'll call it. So I expect that to happen. There is a world where we do pull back. There is some gaps in the market which we could look to go and fill. So there is that world where we have a much deeper pullback before pushing. In fact, if that was to happen, I think that would be a fantastic place to get long and potentially just hold back to the all-time highs, really, if of course everything looks well. So I would keep in mind these areas in case we go for a deeper pullback. In terms of the 4-hour chart, I can see prices getting a little bit more ascending, a little bit more corrective now. You see these higher highs and higher lows there. Prices forming, not the sign of a healthy market anymore. I still think this is a nice place for a buy. Let's say if we can drop to like 15-30 minute, I still think that's a nice place to pick up a long. But again, not looking for anything too crazy. Maybe a push back to the swing high, call it a day. Because with this type of price action, I do feel like we'll push down at some stage and then continue. And then, yeah, this would be the buy that would be nice for a swing idea. But intraday, price is still bullish. We're still seeing a comfortable uptrend. I can see prices becoming a bit more corrective now. This still looks like a good place for a buy, just not for a long-term move. Back to resistance. I think that's about it. But you can see the S&P is getting a little bit corrective there. If I head over to NAS, not as corrective as the S&P, but still showing signs of slowing down. We broke the high here, then we broke the low, broke the high, still having some trouble. So overall, price is becoming a lot more corrected now for Nasdaq as well. So again, I do think a bigger pullback is on the cards. A pullback into this area would be really, really nice. It also probably lines up with the 200 moving average as well. So there's a lot of confidence back there. That's going to take a pretty big pullback for us to see that happen. I still do like this range here. Nice consolidation, rip to the upside for a lot of momentum. Haven't seen price come back to revisit and retest that. So I would still potentially look out for an opportunity for a pullback into here. Again, entries 4-hour, hourly chart, I think make a load of sense. I think that's still a really, really smart place for a buy. Of course, we've seen the appropriate rejection and confirmations there. With every single level I talk about, I'm never talking about buying just because price is there. I will always wait for price to show signs of rejection before entering a long or a short, of course. So again, waiting for price to show evidence of us respecting this area. And then, yeah, a buy, again, back to resistance, and maybe we can push a little bit further than that as well. I think that's definitely a smart place for a buy. And likewise with the level just below us, I think this is probably a more unlikely situation to occur, the pullback all the way there. But if it does happen, then I believe we probably got a good chance at getting into some buys and potentially holding that all the way to resistance, the all-time highs. But for the indices as a whole, very, very bullish, expecting a lot more upside for the indices as a whole. So I would only be focused on the buys, not really interested in the sells at all. Yes, I'm expecting the market to retrace, but I don't expect it to be anything too crazy. I don't expect it to be a big move. And even if it is a big move, I expect an even bigger move to get us back to the all-time high. So I think the buys is just where it's at, whether you're on an intraday time frame or looking at a bigger swing. So yeah, indices very, very bullish. Kind of same situation for the for the DAX as well. This one very, very bullish. I believe it created new highs again yesterday. Yes, it did. So this is still pushing up. Don't get me wrong, it's still looking a little bit corrective. So I'm seeing signs of us slowing down. And again, I do think a bigger pullback will happen at some stage. But again, we might still see another, complete rally to the upside. It could still easily be another swing to this trend. And that could still be worthwhile looking to profit from. The market is slowing down. It's going to slow down at some point. If you look at how markets move, it's never a straight line. Even when it is a straight line, there is a pretty big retracement always around the corner. So, we are going to have that retracement at some point, of course. But again, the bigger move for now seems to be the buy. Buyers are in control. Trend is still very much bullish. I'd only be looking at longs. And in terms of the FTSE FTSE, yep, looking bullish as well, back above the 200. Very strong close yesterday as well. Of course, this is the all-time high resistance. Looks to me that price is on course to go and hit that level again. So again, for this one, I'll keep an eye on some pullbacks. We already had a retest of that area quite well. So now I'll probably keep an eye on the high here. Another push up, perhaps a retest of that zone. Trying to catch the next higher low and continue that trend to the upside. So as a whole, FTSE looking like it's probably going to push back into resistance. So yeah, indices, major indices across the board looking very, very bullish. Maybe a pullback is on the cards for them. They've had some pretty big moves, so I would expect that. But I only look at it as a pullback, so the buys make the most sense to me. Ivan, Aussie, New Zealand dollar. Did what we discussed it could do. What do you think is a good entry sell to sell it further? To be honest, I haven't actually looked at Aussie, New Zealand dollar. So I have no idea what it's done. Okay, so we did see a push down. Yeah, I remember we were speaking about some sells with this one. So yeah, really nice sell. It looks like it's cleared support there pretty well. Would I still look to sell it? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if I would look to still sell it. Reason being, I don't really trust the pair a lot. Especially when we're in a situation where we're still kind of forming these higher lows. You know, I still wonder, is the bigger move still to the upside? You know, I'm not looking for a swing all the way back to support there, just because we are still putting those higher lows in. I know we're also putting lower highs here too, but that's the contradiction. You know, price is kind of just in a big range really, so there is no kind of overall direction to the market, even despite, you know, the bearish trend we've had here. You know, I'm not expecting to continue forever just because of how the price is moving in the higher time frame. So ideally, if I was going to get short on this one, I want to try and catch the entry at the high. I know in this situation that might be a bit risky. You might take a couple losses before you do take the win. But ideally, I want my entry as high as possible and my stop loss as high as possible as well. I think if we can see a rejection here, this could still be a smart place for a short as well. If price does break above that, then I'll walk away. Maybe I'll keep an eye on the double top potentially, because I still think that could be a nice trade. Because essentially, as long as price, you know, stays respecting this level here, I think the sell is still very much on. So if we do push back into resistance there at 1.092, I still think that's a smart trade. The only reason why I do kind of have doubts here is because if the market is going to form a higher low in comparison to this low, this is kind of the area which I'll look for that higher low to happen, if it is going to happen. So this area will become pretty important, because if we push into that area, really start to struggle, well then that's your lower high and that's your opportunity to short it back into support. But yeah, I probably wouldn't even look to take it past that level there at 1.079. I probably wouldn't look to target any further than that. Very, very bearish move. Nice drop to the downside. I like the momentum. But I think I'll call it a day there. Again, there is a world that we do get back to support here. But judging the price action higher time frames, I would say it's a not likely event. So taking profits beforehand, I think, would be a smart move. But yeah, this level does look good. It's kind of like a head and shoulder pattern, if you will. Left head, right shoulder. There's your neckline. There's your break of it. So this potentially could be the retest of that and then the continuation. So the shorts do make sense. But yeah, preferably I like some stops and entries in that kind of location. That's if, you know, I was fixated on taking the best setup I could find. This is still a good setup, but that would be better. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on 1.087, see how it reacts. There could be some nice shorts there. Likewise with the high up there as well. And yeah, targets. I mean, you could be looking at different targets as well. This low here could be a target for a trade too. But in terms of how far we can go, I probably wouldn't try and look past that point there. Yeah, just because overall it's a ranging market. I wouldn't try and look to force swings when I can see the overall direction of the trend is sideways. Yeah, there is no trend. But yeah, it was a nice drop there, so I think the shorts look good there. I think we can go a bit further, but I wouldn't look at I wouldn't look any further than 1.078. So yeah, that's my 2 pence for Aussie New Zealand dollar. We did have interest rates for Aussie yesterday. No, early this morning. Feels like it was yesterday, but it was early this morning, which did knock out my my Aussie position for pound Aussie. I was shorting pound Aussie, and because of course Aussie rates did drop, Aussie was pretty weak, which did push pound Aussie to the upside, which did take me out of the trade there. I'm still keen on shorts, but I'll be a little bit more careful because my level did break. But I still do think the market can push to the downside. If I go to pound Aussie now, mainly because we haven't violated structure yet, and that's the pivotal thing for me. This was our leg, which gave us this sell here, so that's our high, that's our low. Price can pull back, anywhere within this and still give us the continuation. So I'm still pretty bearish on pound Aussie. Still looking for opportunities to sell it, but the level I was shorting from, which was this resistance here, of course, didn't hold. So backing away from that level for now, looking to see if I can get another entry signal somewhere in around here. If I see some more good rejection, potentially price maybe recovers the high on the left there, I might look for a stab pretty soon in the next 2 or 3 candles. If, of course, price maintains that momentum, we keep chugging away to the upside, and most importantly, takes out the high there, then I'll completely back away. Perhaps at that point, pound Aussie's going to push back to highs maybe. So if that's the case, then I, of course, won't be looking to sell. But for now, we're still very much respecting structure. We're still overly corrective on the way up. It's not like we've been pushing to the upside with a lot of momentum. It's been very corrective, which still gives me the impression that we can still very much see a continuation back into support and potentially further as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on pound Aussie. As I said, I'm currently in Euro USD, so that's the position I'm in now. We're going to see how that gets going. It's still holding on to resistance, so that's the key thing. Hopefully we can get some USD strength. That's the main thing we're looking for. Not necessarily Euro weakness. You could probably argue that Euro has been weak already. Looking mainly for dollar strength. So if dollar can respect support here, then I do see a rally to the upside. And of course, if we can get a move like that and another higher low there for the dollar, well, that would give me probably the swing I'm looking for in Euro, which of course would be the opposite back into support there. But a long way to go before that does really develop. I don't think do we got USD news today? I don't think we do. Yeah, no USD at least red fold anyway. I mean, there's a couple speeches here and there, but nothing too significant. We do have CAD CPI today, so if anyone's trading CAD, keep an eye on that, because that probably will give CAD a little bit of a move there. That's at 1:30 UK time, which is in about 2.5 hours from now. But Thursday, I think we got a lot of news, a lot of PMI, pound, euro, USD. So yeah, Thursday, need to keep an eye on that. Ahmed, Euro Yen long opportunity. Okay, yeah, I was supposed to go through the rest of the yen pairs. I'll start with Euro Yen, then I'll take a look at pound and Aussie and the other ones as well. So yeah, with the yen pairs, they have looked a tad bearish, haven't they? They have pushed down pretty aggressively, and I wonder, is this potentially price, just having a bit deeper of a pullback than expected, or are we actually being bearish? Now, I'm expecting it to be the first situation where we're just still looking a tad bearish, but price is still potentially going to push up. In terms of the 4-hour structure for Euro Yen, it has been bullish for a while, still seeing higher highs and higher lows. So I do think price can still push to the upside, still see another higher low form, and still give us a push back into resistance, as long as we don't take out the swing low here, which of course is the low, which gave us the drive to the upside. If we were to take that out, well, I wouldn't be looking for the big buy anymore. We are still pretty corrective here. So if you're looking for a Euro Yen buy, I'll keep an eye on this support level. If you can respect that support double bottom, I feel like that's a nice place for a buy, and you can potentially take it back into resistance there as well. You can even look at just buying at the low here as well. If pricing just come back into this support level, we reacted very, very well off that level initially, and then we did it again. We might potentially do it for a third time as well. So as long as 162 can hold, really, anywhere buys in here do make sense, and the risk to reward looks good as well. Probably suggest maybe some entries on the hourly chart. Keep your risk small, maximize reward. Could be looking at 1 to 3s, 1 to 4s, even 1 to 5s back into resistance, maybe even more than that as well. So I think the risk to reward looks really good on this position, or this idea anyway. But yeah, Euro Yen longs, I'm still very much on board that wagon until 162 breaks and that low breaks. If that happens, then I'll reanalyze and go from there. Same situation for pound yen as well. Again, a little bit bearish this morning. Nice push down, but again, nothing significant. It hasn't done anything that would make me bearish on the market. Like I've said, we've broken structure, so that makes me not bearish anymore. We've had those really nice lower lows and lower highs in the market, but we've had that break of structure, which does put that to rest for now. So now my focus is more based around this bullish structure here. So I do think price can still rally to the upside. Still looking at that high low. Again, technically speaking, this is the low that gave us the high there. So price can pull back anywhere within here and still give us that continuation. I did talk about this area here as being an important area for pound, and potentially the area which could send us to the upside. This is kind of a nice area of demand, if you will. Not maybe the most obvious area, but we did kind of stall here a little bit. Then that's kind of where the momentum came from. Of course, we had a gap, and then momentum soared from then on afterwards. Now we're back down here again, slowing down. Potentially nice double bottom can form, similar to Euro Yen. And again, from here, I do think we can rally back into resistance there, which would be 196. 196.5. And maybe some new highs from there as well. So pound yen to me looks really good for a buy. Again, entries around that level, hourly chart, I think we'll do a decent job at that. And of course, still use the 4 hour for that as well. But I think hour will probably give you a little bit more bang for your buck there. So nice entry, nice location as well. Coming into that area of demand. I think we pull back into the 0.618 if I'm not mistaken. Not quite actually. Pull back into the 50, but if we were to probably have that double bottom, probably will tag the 0.618 there too. And yeah, I think this is a great place for a buy and a great place to anticipate another high low forming and a push back into resistance. Again, this does stem from my expectation that we're still likely to get another drop for the yen. This is the JPY basket, of course, so this is going to be inversely correlated to the yen pairs. So when this does head down, the other yen pairs go up, vice versa. And you can see for the past few weeks, markets formed a double top there. Lower high, lower high, lower high. And nothing's changed. I'm expecting another lower high to form. Maybe it has formed already. Maybe we might still push up a little bit. But I'm expecting lower high to form anyway. And a push back down into support. So if we're going to see that move there for the yen basket, well, 8 times out of 10, you're going to see the yen pairs push in the opposite direction. You can see how corrective price is looking. We're starting to stall a little bit. We're seeing some more wicks to the upside. Looks like resistance is about a hold here as well. So I do think the yen basket is running out of steam. Has it just about tapped into this area? Maybe just. That was a small area of supply there. It did drop pretty hard. We've just about wicked into that area as well. So this kind of 6,900 area, I think, is a prime place for a short. Haven't pulled back into 0.786 just yet. We might spike a little bit higher to tag that potentially. But yeah, anywhere within this kind of vicinity looking for a lower high to form and a push back down. So pretty bearish on the yen basket as well. Appreciate that, Poppy. Yeah, sure, guys. Make sure that you have left a like. It does really help out. And of course, make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you find it useful. It does really help the channel grow, gets content out there as well. And of course, make sure you do go and hit any bells so you don't miss out on any uploads in the future. I do really appreciate everyone who has liked the stream so far, because it does really help out. So if you do me a favor, make sure you go do that. But thank you, Poppy, for reminding. But yeah, yen basket, very nice area. I think if you can continue to develop here, great place for a short and a great place for a push back down again. So again, in terms of the yen pairs, which I like, I've spoke about New Zealand yen. I think that's a great place for a buy, or coming into a great place for a buy. I think Aussie yen is also something. It is also a pair which is in a nice place for a buy. I'm looking at two kind of areas for this one as well. Preferably, I would still like to see a bit more downside for Aussie yen. So this level here, I like to see a nice place for a buy. As you can see, price hasn't quite broken structure yet, but it has had a pretty impressive move and come very close to doing that. So I'm willing to take that bet that we can continue to the upside, especially knowing that New Zealand yen's broke structure and quite a few other pairs have done that as well. CAD yen's done that too. So I do think we can see, in Euro yen as well, so I do think we can see more upside for Aussie yen, at least back to resistance. Even if we do respect and come back down, I think something like that would be a really nice trade. So I'm looking at a tad more downside for Aussie yen, back into the support level just around 92. That would be kind of my preferred area, which I had at the start of the week. If price can make a move into that level, I think that would be a great place to pick up some longs. And again, you're looking at a pretty decent trade, a pretty decent range to trade there. So price can push back into support, looking like a nice swing back into 95.5 and maybe higher as well. But this is really where I like the idea to pick up some longs and a push into resistance. So again, if the yen basket is going to see that drop, it probably will help take Aussie yen to the upside and maybe further as well. So as a whole, I'm pretty bullish on the yen pairs. Of course, some yen pairs have been a little bit awkward, or maybe more awkward than others. I think CAD yen is quite interesting right now, actually. This one's been more bearish than I expected it to be. Again, we've got the prior swing low here, which of course gave us this move. So I'm essentially looking at this as the pullback of that. Now expecting price to continue back into resistance, which would be the high over there at 106.226. So that's the swing I'm looking for. Of course, you've got the high here on the left, which initially I was looking for a bounce, but never happened. Then the second area I was looking for, this area here, which price is kind of not really respecting that as well. So it could be a situation where we could be looking at basically just a double bottom of this low. We did wick into it this morning, no kind of major rejection, so I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe consolidate here for a little bit. But that's really the last point of call there for CAD yen. If price does break through that, I think we're just back to square one, and we're going to treat CAD yen as just a big range really, because we do have some bullish structure here which could look to continue. But if price does disrespect that break structure, well, yeah, I'm just going to treat this as a range, not really look too much into the detail of the price action within the range, and just basically focus on support and focus on resistance. Anything inside the range, none of my business until we break out really. That's if we do break this support level. I do expect the swing to the upside, but if it does break low, yeah, I'll leave CAD yen alone at that rate. So very pivotal area here for CAD yen. I'll keep an eye on maybe some strong bullish engulfing candles to close. I think that would be a smart idea or opportunity there for CAD yen. Yeah, otherwise I'll probably just walk away. Swiss yen, not a big fan of the price action, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, this one altogether is coming from a pretty big level of resistance to our left there. So it's not a yen pair which I'm looking to buy. A lot of the yen pairs I'm looking for long. So pound, euro, CAD, Aussie, New Zealand, dollar, yen. Pretty much every yen pair apart from CHF, JPY. I'm actually looking for a swing to the upside, looking for a buy. CHF, JPY I'm not, because we've already had a big swing. We've smacked our head into resistance here. And although I still do think we might get that push to the upside, I mean, if every other yen pair does rally, you will probably see Swiss yen rally as well. I just don't think it's a great trade, to be honest. We've had a really strong move back into resistance, then again a third time. That doesn't really give me a lot of confidence to keep buying Swiss yen, knowing that we've had a big move, rejected resistance 3 times. Yeah, I personally would look to buy. I know we got these high lows which price is creating, and potentially we could still look to put another higher low in and have a rally, but yeah, I don't think it's as good as the other yen pairs and what the opportunities I'm seeing there as well. So I'd be very cautious there with Swiss yen, and if this was to maybe bleed a little bit further, maybe something like that I could entertain myself. But then again, that just looks like a big range, to be honest. So there'll be better opportunities elsewhere. But yeah, in terms of the yen pairs, there's probably only 2 which I'm actually really looking to trade, and that would be Aussie yen and New Zealand yen. So I'll be patient. Aussie yen's not too far away. Could even get set up later today if things can speed up a little bit. If not, maybe tomorrow. So definitely going to keep a very close eye on taking Aussie yen to the upside. New Zealand yen, that one again potentially could give a setup today as well. If it could speed up, I'm looking either at the support level here for a buy or the support level down there for a buy. Of course, that setup's probably still a few days away, but maybe something like that could happen pretty quickly. And yeah, looking for a swing to the upside. So those are the 2 yen pairs I'm looking at. In terms of USD pairs, so as I said, I'm currently in Euro USD short, so that's kind of that box ticked. I'm not really looking to try and get into another USD pair until I can get that to break even, or at least if I'm stopped out, of course, then I can get into another pair. But if that's at break even and I have permission to get into another USD pair, I can get to another pair which is not correlated to Euro USD, but another directly correlated pair like Pound USD or USD CAD. I would wait till risk has been removed, so I'm not kind of doubling up on USD. But yeah, we're going to see how that position goes. In terms of the CHF pairs, I do really like Aussie CHF. That has grown on me as the week has progressed. I've been keeping an eye on it. I was losing a little bit of love for it, but I like how price has kind of moved since the week has begun. And essentially, I'm looking for a double bottom here. A lot of pairs I'm looking for double bottom opportunities. That's just the situation we're seeing right now. Again, you can see for Aussie CHF, pretty consistent with all these higher lows. And the plan is I'm looking for another one at this area, again for a rally. And I will continue with that bias as long as price doesn't break through that low there. As long as price can maintain that low at 0.528, I remain really bullish for Aussie CHF. Very, very bullish for Aussie CHF. The moment we do break that low, then at that point, maybe price does swing back to lows here at 0.5. The reason why I like the buys for Aussie CHF is because we're coming from all-time lows. You know, price had a really aggressive sell during March this year, broke through all-time lows. If I zoom out completely, you know, we can go all the way back to the 80s, and we can see how price has developed since then, and we've just been falling since then pretty much. So, and every time price does create a new all-time low, it does recover pretty quickly. So I expect more upside because of that. So I'm only really at this moment in time looking to buy Aussie CHF. We still do have that range, that support level just above us, which I feel like price has a really good chance of looking to go and test. So the plan would be, if I can find some entries, double bottom, trade it back into resistance, then maybe back into that zone up there. And I like it because the risk reward looks pretty good on that trade as well. So I like the idea if we can swing it back into resistance. So yeah, with Aussie CHF, I'm keeping an eye. New Zealand CHF, not as good. This is a little bit more sideways. Aussie CHF's got a bit more of a trend to it. You can just see that by the eye test. You know, New Zealand CHF a little bit more flat. Aussie CHF has a bit more strength with the buyers there. You can see the angle of how price is moving, kind of with this trend line here as well. So I like it because of that. So yeah, I'm going to focus more so on Aussie CHF. Other CHF pairs, not really looking to do anything really. Yeah, a bit more sideways, a bit more choppy. CAD CHF. Again, my expectation would be a buy. I do feel like we can see a bit of a rally. We've got these higher lows here. And the higher highs, of course. So high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Now again, expecting another higher low. And push back into resistance. And some new highs beyond that. And again, similar to Aussie CHF, coming from all-time lows. CAD CHF, I believe, is coming from all-time lows as well. Yep, it looks like it too. So this one, again, has reason to expect more upside too, but I feel like Aussie CHF looks a lot cleaner. So, yeah, I'd rather just spend my time with Aussie CHF. But CAD CHF, expect to rally too, but price action just a little bit more messy, so not really spending much of my time there. Euro CHF, same situation as well, although this is very, very sideways, and Euro CHF hasn't seen all-time lows. It's actually come back to respect some support here, which has been trading at for a while. Yep, good job, Euro CHF holding support, but doesn't really provide me with a clear-cut opportunity. Same way Aussie CHF, New Zealand CHF is doing, and maybe CAD CHF as well. Respecting support to a good degree. Looks like price might turn around from that, but again, looking at the price action on the 4-hour chart as well, very, very messy. Not really giving me a clear-cut trade there either. And then pound CHF. This one, just not really a big fan of the price action altogether, to be honest. I kind of view this as a bit of a range. We had these big kind of bearish moves, but they never really amount to much. You know, we had this bearish move in 2024, and we had a pullback which lasted almost a year. You know, that drop happened July, August, and then this drop here happened April this year. So not far off a year as well. So very, kind of sporadic, impulsive moves, but never really showing much of a trend. I know overall the market is down, trending down, but we've been flat ever since COVID. Not COVID, actually. That was Russia, Ukraine. Ever since September 2022, we've just been flat. So, yeah, not really looking to trade it either. So, yeah, Aussie CHF looking good. I think in terms of my pairs on top of my watch list, which I'm looking to trade, Aussie CHF longs look the best. I like New Zealand CAD. I'm not too sure if it's left me in the dust a little bit. We had another rally to the upside. I know the market is ranging, but I really like the support level here. If price can push back into this zone and then find some entries to take back into resistance there, that would be perfecto, because that would give me a nice place to enter, a nice place for a stop loss. And then I'll be looking at a pretty decent swing back into resistance there. I'll probably actually be looking to target that resistance level. It's only about a small distance apart, but I would expect us to make our way back into that resistance. And yeah, risk reward looks pretty good in that position as well. I like this opportunity because we do have that V-shaped pattern on the higher time frames, impulse down, impulse up, V-shape patterns, very, very good patterns for reversal when I do see them at the bottom or top of trends. 9 times out of 10 I'm looking to trade them. Doesn't mean 9 times out of 10 they'll work, but they do have a good success rate. And as well, if you're a company with good risk reward, you got yourself really good opportunities in the market there. And we had a really nice one on USD CAD, which I was actually trading earlier this year as well. Doesn't look as obvious, but very sharp move to the upside. It had the bit of the gap, then price came down very aggressively. We got that correction, then the continuation. I'm kind of expecting a similar situation for New Zealand CAD here. Maybe not as big of a move, but I do expect price to go and take out the highs at the very least. Potentially we could see a swing back to the highs there, but I won't be looking to actually hold the trade that far anyway. But we've got this trend line here as well, which I'm keeping a close eye on. So you've got the first test, second test. Of course, there's your kind of manipulation with the V-shaped pattern, but now coming again. There's your kind of third test. I'm looking for a double bottom there. Then buys back into resistance. So New Zealand CAD looks really good to me. Just waiting to see if we can actually get the entry at that area. That's all I'm waiting for. So Aussie CHF buys, New Zealand CAD buys. I'm still looking at pound Aussie sells. So going to see what we can do in this area here. Perhaps price recovers that. Nice bearish engulfing. That will entice me to re-enter the position. Stops above the high. And looking at a similar trade back into support there at least. But I do think we can go a bit further. I am still looking at the push back into this swing high here. So that will still be my expectation for pound Aussie. And I mean, pound NZD I'll still keep an eye on, but I do prefer pound Aussie. I'm looking for a similar move there in pound NZD, but I think I'll just stay with pound Aussie. Looks like the better trade. And yeah, in terms of USD pairs, like I said, currently shorting Euro USD. So that box is ticked. I'm not trying to jump into another USD pair. I wouldn't mind getting into gold. I wouldn't be as cautious because it's slightly different. But other USD pairs like pounds, dollar CHF, I'll wait. Then yeah, in terms of the yen pairs, Aussie yen looks the best to me at the moment. So I'll wait for that to develop. Might get some entries later today or yeah, later this week at some stage. So hopefully you can find some entries to take it back into resistance. But pound yen, euro yen, they look good as well. It's just they're a little bit too close to resistance, especially euro yen as well. And I'm pretty bullish on Aussie and NZD. I think Aussie and NZD can see a lot more strength. They've been incredibly weak for a while, like past year. But I do think they're going to be pretty strong soon. As all markets do, we go through cycles, bearish, bullish, back and forth. I do think we're coming into a new cycle for Aussie and NZD, and some strength can be entering the market. So I'm looking at buying a lot of those pairs. So New Zealand CAD, Aussie CHF, selling pound Aussie, buying Aussie yen, New Zealand yen, even potentially buying New Zealand CHF as well. So that's really where my focus is at right now. Pound yen, I think we can still see upside, but I don't think it is as good as an opportunity as maybe like a euro yen or some of the other pairs as well. But I'm going to pay a lot of attention to the DXY this week because I am, of course, I am selling euro, so I'm looking for the strength there. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, still just kind of about holding on to support, kind of this area here. If I be a bit more specific, where we had price pause there briefly, bit of a gap there, and of course we had the very sharp rally to the upside. Since then we've had price just about pull back into it. Then again yesterday, which is where I got short on euro, and now we've pulled back into the same area again this morning. We've pulled back quite nicely there. Of course, this 4-hour candle was about to close in 43 minutes. So if it could close like that, that'll definitely be a plus because we flipped bullish. We left another wick to the downside, which shows more rejection. So if you can close like that, that would definitely be a positive sign for my trade and my expectation of USD strength. Hourly chart, not really seeing much momentum there. So more focus from a full hourly perspective. 8 hour, same kind of situation there. Still coming into that support level, leaving a load of wicks. Just need to see if momentum can really push through to the upside. And another reason why I liked Euro USD sells and dollar buys is that price has since recovered major support here. Yeah, this was a pretty big level of support. Price danced around this area. Now we're back above it. If I go to Euro USD, you can see, price had major resistance here to the left. If I kind of mark it out with a big zone, take that across, you can see we respected that area once, massive move down. It looked at one point that we might use this level of support to potentially push up, but that didn't happen. We dropped back below that level as resistance. We spiked into that level again as resistance again, and that helped as an aid to the trade. Another confluence for me shorting, so we had a wick into that zone. If I move this out of the way, too, you can see we wicked into that zone there, which is again the 4 hour trade which I was basing the trade from, with the wick and the bearish candle, somewhat of like an evening star pattern. But the reason I liked it a lot is because it also lined up very well with this daily / weekly level of resistance. If I take that across, you can see it lines up pretty well with where I'm entering and where my stop loss is placed too. It's above both levels. So if price can hold into this area, 4 hour zone, daily zone, kind of weekly zone, I do think there's a big drop to be had. Now, the way I'm looking to manage the position is, if price can take out this low, I'll go to break even. So 1.112, if price doesn't push down, we rally through this, even just a wick through that zone, I'll go to break even on the trade. I'll probably secure a small percentage of gains at the low here, like 25%. And then I'll leave the rest to run to see if I can go and hit the zone which I've been talking about for a buy, which is this weekly consolidation. So around 1.095. That's where I'll take most of my profit. Because again, my plan is to see if I can really milk trades this year and push trades a little bit further than what I normally do. And really make my winners count a bit more, which of course would potentially make some winning trades potentially revert back to small wins or break evens if they don't really get going. But again, that's completely fine because you only need a few big winners per year to actually really make your year count. But yeah, that's kind of how I look to manage it. So break even here, secure some gains there, close the rest, 1.095. Still a long way to go. We still got respect resistance first. But I like the wick and how he closed there the last 4 hour candle. It's another wick into that zone, showing more rejection. But yeah, my attention will be on the DXY as well, because they're both going to do the same thing. If the dollar is going to push up, then it'll allow me to continue. Thoughts on EuroNOK? I haven't actually looked at EuroNOK in ages. Since you've come back, Poppy, I don't think I've looked at EuroNOK since, to be honest. I have no idea what's been happening. Can't even remember where the last time I looked. I think maybe, don't even know. Maybe somewhere in here. Can't remember. Anyway, in terms of EuroNOK now, I mean, it's still very much a bullish market, so I think it's only a matter of time before we do end up back at resistance here of the all-time high. I know things are getting very, very choppy over here we are respecting resistance very, very well. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, could argue 5 or 6 attempts to break through that level, and they've all failed pretty much. But I do think price, of course, eventually going to break through. So the way I would probably look at EUR/NOK right now is I'm probably looking for some buys as we approach this area, and probably some buys as we approach the low, because this is the extreme. This is where, you know, if we are going to break, it could invite a lot more selling pressure. So I'd naturally expect to bounce here just above 11.1. But I also like this area here. You know, was support there. Price broke through, then had a very aggressive run to the upside. And this move to the downside has been very, very slow and been very corrective as well. So it gives me the impression that things are very corrective, that things are slow and likely to be a pullback of that bullish move. And of course, if this is a pullback of the bullish move there, well, then we can expect a lot more upside. Maybe even price potentially to break out of that. But for now, I do expect to see price have a push to the upside. So yeah, EUR/NOK, I'll keep an eye on 11.559, which is basically where I've got this level of support at on the daily chart. If it was to drop to the 4-hour time frame, you know, we've been in this descending channel for quite a while now. But again, overall very, very slow. I think we can go and sweep some of the lows out and potentially start to consider some buying opportunities. I wouldn't really be interested in any sells, to be honest, coming back into support like we are, especially with how corrective things have been as well. Maybe if we go and break through that support level, maybe another lower higher forms, yeah, something like that could interest me. At least I know that we've got this level to our backs, and then the likelihood of price coming back to test support there is pretty high. So I know I can take advantage of that range, or at least or have a good chance of doing that. But at the moment, yeah, I would be pretty bullish with EUR/NOK. So I would be looking at some buying opportunities. I wouldn't be looking for a home run. I know I said I expect price to, you know, potentially rally back into resistance, and I do expect that. But just because I expect it doesn't mean necessarily have to look to trade it. You know, in terms of targets, you can be pretty conservative with it. You know, push back into high there, push back into the high there. I think it all make a load of sense in terms of targets for the trade. Don't have to be very greedy, you don't have to try and push things too far with that. But yeah, for EUR/NOK, I would be pretty bullish on that. I know we've rejected resistance so many times there, but it doesn't worry me because I can see what the overall trajectory of the market is. And if we were to push back into support, again, I'll be looking at another bounce from that area. Keeping it very simple, another reaction. What's up, Yusuf? Good morning. I hope you're well. I am doing good. No worries, Poppy. Happy to help. Let me know your thoughts on EUR/NOK as well. What you're looking to do with EUR/NOK. Because personally, this is just the range. So the price action is nothing amazing. Typically, if I'm looking at a range, I'll just kind of wait for price to get right to the low or the high of that range before I do anything really. I don't like trading within ranges. That's not the most profitable place for me. If I'm going to trade a range, it has to be close to the low or close to the high. That's where I can probably find some pivotal turning points in the market. Or I just ignore it completely and I just focus on something a bit more trending. Or wait for it to become trending, because of course EUR/NOK does have its times where trends are frequent and long lasting as well. So that's the time where I want to be trading potentially EUR/NOK, but I don't really look at EUR/NOK in my personal trading. But if I did, that's when I'll be looking to get excited. But here, I think I'd probably look at some other pairs. How is USD/NOK looking? Yeah, same situation pretty much. Nice uptrend. Still likely to push back into major resistance. Let's pull back into a nice kind of area of support, demand area. I would expect to bounce. But yeah, I probably would prefer this one a little bit more actually. Okay, thought similar to mine. Okay, fair enough. Price is finally starting to give me shots. I can understand. That's good. But again, you like I said, Yusuf, there'll be times because I remember you were mentioning last week or the week before that price action wasn't looking good. You couldn't get a good read of price and what was happening. Sometimes I look at price action, I have the exact same thought that I have no idea what price is doing, and I'm just going to wait for price to become clearer. And sometimes that's the case. Even if you've got years and years of experience, there's still sometimes markets which don't look good to trade. And again, trading is never about trading the market all the time and reading the market all the time and expecting the market to do this, expecting the market to do that, and being right with that. Trading is always just about looking for good opportunities. And if you can't get good read and it doesn't look clear to you, then that simply is just not a good opportunity. And of course, maybe someone else can come up with an idea for that, but that's their situation, that's their problem. If it looks good to you, then you can base a trade from that and you can learn from that as well. And yeah, there are times where I am in the same situation. What do I think of dollar yen? What's up, Paul? Hope you are well. So yeah, USD I still like the buys. I still think there is a rally to be had with dollar yen. I'm still looking at weakness for the yen itself. So yen pairs as a whole, I do think there's room to the upside. I'm still looking at some strength for USD as well. So these are two currencies where I do think we can see some strength for USD and some weakness for the yen. And if that does come through, because of course at the moment that's the exact opposite, yen has been a bit strong and dollar's been a bit weak, hence why we've seen this move to the downside. But I do think there's going to be a shift between the two, and that could very much invite a nice rally. So dollar yen, in terms of the market structure, still giving us higher highs and higher lows. So because of that, I am expecting another higher low to form for another rally. We've come back into a very nice place of resistance, which will return support. We're not quite there yet. So I kind of want to see price roll over and have another dig at that level around 144, just below 144. So that ideally would be the place where I would look for entries, wicks, probably in the hourly chart. Nice shift in momentum. I think that would be a smart place for a buy. And potentially targets, you're looking at a pretty big swing there. It could be easy looking at 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6 plus RR for a swing back to resistance. Even a swing back to this high here could also be a really nice rally as well, especially if you can probably get an entry in the lower chart, lower time frame. So yeah, dollar yen at the moment, very, very bullish. I like how correctively we're moving here as well. It's a nice sign. It's a nice sign that tells me that price is corrective and most likely a pullback. Again, just because we are corrected doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be a pullback. But more often than not, it is. If it was, seeing really heavy bearish momentum, that would be a sign to maybe stay away. But things are still corrective, things are still slow, and I do think we can see a rally to the upside. I've had a long look at the yen, and I still do fancy a sell for that one as well. So I do think price can have that rejection there and a push down. Maybe we do push up a little bit higher for the end basket. I've mapped out this area here with the fib. 0.786 lines up pretty well with this kind of area of supply. We consolidated there for a few hours, and price had a really aggressive drop to the downside. So we might kind of stab into that a little bit deeper and then sell off. But yeah, with the yen basket, you can see the prior highs. We've got the double top there. Another lower high there, another lower high there as well. And I'm looking at another lower high forming over here. So we've got double top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a push back into support. And I'm looking for dollar yen to do the exact opposite, especially with the DXY trading where it is trading. If you can respect that level of support as well, that should give us some strength for the USD, which in turn should help dollar yen push up. And of course, if the yen's going to push down from there, you should see a nice shift in momentum. So I'm pretty bullish on dollar yen for now. But in terms of the yen pairs I like the most, it would be like Aussie yen and New Zealand yen. I like these guys a lot, especially because we've had like a big sell for them as well. They've sold off quite a while, and they've come back into, respectively, some really nice levels of support. So I do think there is room to the upside for us to trade. And same situation for New Zealand yen as well. Yusuf, I'm looking for shorts on the 15 for USJPY. Okay. I mean, the 15 is still bearish, so I understand still looking to short it. We did actually talk about that yesterday, about some shorts. I'm not too sure if we actually got the setup actually. Nah, we didn't. I was talking about, I mean, we did see the sell actually. Let me just get rid of this as well. We were talking about some shorts around this area, basically coming back into that area of supply where price stabbed into that area. And then we had a massive sell looking for price to get back into that area again. Then sure, we did get that push. I suppose that would be the move, just not enough to tag that area. Maybe in another parallel universe, we did push into the area, but not quite in this occasion. And then, yeah, we did get that follow through to the downside. And dollar yen is still pretty bearish on the 15. I would still keep an eye on something like this forming another high for another drive down. I think you can still get another swing to the downside. I'll probably look around 145, 145.2 as a healthy area for a short. And yeah, another swing to the downside. I do think the bigger move is to the upside. But of course, from a 50-minute perspective, structure's still really bearish. So I would suggest some shorts look good, maybe kind of around that area, another swing to the downside. And maybe from there, we potentially turn around. No problem, Paul. Are you waiting for a big green 4-hour candle at that area then? Yeah, I would do. I'm not looking to trade dollar yen myself. The two yen pairs I'm looking to buy is Aussie and New Zealand yen. But yeah, if I was looking to trade it, it would be a big green candle. Yeah. Sometimes things as simple as that. A big green candle at a nice area of confluence, of course. Can be a very great entry signal for a trade. But yeah, I would wait for something like that. Something that shows me momentum shift, buyers are in control now. Normally accompanied with a wick is also a great confluence as well. If price can maybe give me a wick through the zone like that, and then I see the next following candle give me a strong bullish candle, then that's a great entry signal. And also, guys, I want to take some time to mention I've been working on a project incorporating AI and trading automation, which I've been working for the past few months. That we'll be looking to launch pretty soon, hopefully for the next 2-3 weeks. Could be looking to launch that very, very soon. And I'm very excited to bring that to the public as well. Again, I feel like AI is going to have a massive impact on trading in the future. And being on the right side of that, I think, is very important as well, especially people looking for automation bots as well, to have trading bots that can use AI intelligence, based on technicals and fundamentals to develop strategies and place that on your behalf. I do think that's a great thing to potentially look into, especially if you're interested in signals as well. There's a lot coming in that arena as well, so do look out for that. That project will be coming up very, very shortly soon, and I'll have some snippets which you guys can look into and follow along. Uh, 144.959. Let me drop back to the 15. Okay, so basically the same area then. 144. What do you say? 959. So that's around here. So yeah, basically the same area. I mean, there's some nice confluence here. We've got the trend line here connecting the highs. Massive kind of area of supply there. Not really specific, but just generally this kind of area. And yeah, I would naturally expect a lower high there to form. As long as we can stay nice and corrective on the way up, we're not kind of racing to the upside. As long as we're kind of fairly slow, it doesn't matter if we see maybe 2 or 3 big candles, kind of like we saw here, to the upside. It's not gonna be perfect, but as long as we're not completely reversing and it's overall quite staggered, yeah, I would bet on another high forming, another push down. Like I said, I still think the bigger moves to the upside. That's more of a swing on the hourly or the 4-hour chart. From a 15-minute perspective, things are still pretty bearish. We're still putting in major lower highs, so I think shorts still look pretty good, and we can still get a swing back down. But yeah, I agree with that outlook there, Yusuf. Andre, pound USD. Okay, I'll have a look at that one for you. No problem. Alessio, hope I'm saying your name correctly. Do you think I can use your strategy on weekly time frame superior and daily time frame lower? Thank you for your support by videos. No problem. Happy to help. Yeah, of course. You can use the concept I use on pretty much any time frame. I would suggest though, intraday time frames need to be a bit more specific because of sessions. And that does have a big part to play. But weekly time frames, monthly time frames, daily time frames, 4-hour time frames, basically time frames that are not affected by sessions, you can use them whenever really. Weekly time frames is a nice time frame to use for trend direction. Basically, the higher the time frame, the better, really, because it kind of gives you the overall expectation of the market. Because if you think about fundamentals and people, and big institutions, buying and selling, that will fluctuate throughout the day. But the overall picture of what the market is doing, what people expect of the market, that will be priced in the weekly. And kind of the minor fluctuations will just be little ripples on a weekly chart. For a weekly chart to reverse, there has to be a big kind of sentiment change in the market. And it will take a longer time. It'll be a lot slower, of course, but it's more trustworthy and more, you can be more confident in that bias. So a weekly chart for like a higher time frame bias, daily time frame to like enter trades as well, that can work very, very well. Of course, using the weekly daily means that you have less opportunities just because things take a little bit longer to process. Your stop losses will be a bit bigger. Your targets naturally will be a bit bigger as well. Your lot size is going to have to be smaller too, because you can't use the same lot size for like an hourly chart for a daily because pips are different. So there will be some changes because of that. But absolutely, you can use the concepts on the weekly and the daily chart. I'll go through pound USD next. And Kojo already in a buy, bought at 144.226. Okay, is that for dollar yen? I'll go through pound USD and I'll come back just because Andre did ask a while ago. But yeah, we'll go through that shortly. So yeah, pound USD. So yeah, we were looking very bullish yesterday. We had that massive breakout, and that's kind of what put me off the sells for pound USD. We were respecting the trend line very well last week, but then this week, I believe on Monday, price rallied through that area, and we were looking pretty bullish since then. I'm still not really bullish on pound USD. I'm bullish long term, but not at the moment, just because of where we're trading. Looking to the left, you can see we're trading in massive resistance. This high here gave us such a big drop not long ago. We're back there again, so I can't really be looking to buy at these prices anyway. Even if I do expect price to break to the upside, which I do eventually, this is just resistance. What I'm looking for pound USD is a push down for a push up. I've been talking about pushing to 1.3 for a while. Maybe you can come back to retest some highs there, and then potentially you might see the continuation. For pound USD, I do think we can still see some more upside back into resistance first, and then we can speak about some sells. because we did break the trend line, but I would want us to short from the high there. Potentially maybe a big double top could form. And some stops above the high would be the most appropriate place for a stop loss as well. So pound USD, I don't really have a setup for this one. It was nice when price was respecting the trend line and we're forming those highs. I still think we can have a bit of a drop, but I would wait to see if we can rally a little bit higher up, test resistance, get a stop loss above the highs, and something like that would be my preferred opportunity. And then maybe catch a sell like that. Bit more aggressive, you're shorting at the highs, but you're well positioned, and if price does break resistance, maybe it's a situation where we do get a breakout to the upside anyway, so you don't want to be in a short, but that would be something I would look at for pound, sorry. But Kojo, in terms of your dollar yen trade, you said you're already long on that one. I suppose this is more of an intraday trade. Let's see. So 144.226. So that's around there. Stop loss 142.652. Wait, what? Okay, this is not an intraday trade. It's a pretty big stop loss there. 142.652. Unless maybe you've had a bit of a typo. That's around there somewhere. And target's 148.645. Okay, it's not an intraday trade at all. 148.645. About there. Let me get rid of that line. So you're looking for a very big swing here, Kojo. Actually, no. It's not that big. It's because I was on the 15-minute time frame and I thought I was on the 4-hour chart. There, so I thought it was a big swing, but then I remembered I was on the 15. But yeah, I mean, it's in a nice area. I was just being weird there. It's in a nice area. Like I said, this zone is kind of where I expect price to rally from. As long as price doesn't break through the low here, I remain bullish on dollar yen. I feel like your entry's in a smart place. You're giving yourself enough room with the stop loss as well. So you're allowing yourself that buffer to potentially price to push down and maybe mess around for a little bit before it does rally. And target's in a very smart place back at resistance. So I do like the setup. In my preference, I would like price to give me a little bit more of a rejection before entering, but that's my preference. Of course, if you do wait for more rejection, potentially means you enter a little bit later. Maybe that will mean your risk to reward isn't as good as it could be. So there will be sacrifices there as well, but that's my preference. But in terms of location, in terms of stop loss location, in terms of targets location, I am very happy with that. Risk to reward looks pretty good there. Probably looking at a 1 to 2.5 or maybe 1 to 3 maybe. Yeah, 2.6, something like that. So risk to reward makes sense. The risk is worth the reward in that trade. So yeah, I do second that dollar yen idea. Pound USD, do you think it's possible for price to react with the 1.33306 level? Okay, I'll have a look. I suppose this is a 15-minute chart as well. CJ, I still expect price to drop before going up on UJ. The key question is, how far do you expect price to drop, CJ? Is it a drop of 20 pips or 100? Because I'm kind of looking for price to drop as well a little bit before it does go up, because I'm looking for a test of 144 area kind of, or 143.9 to be a bit more exact. So I'm looking for us to go down a little bit before we do pick up. Might even spike through that zone as well. So I do expect us to push down a little bit before we do push up as well. Pound USD, let me have a look, Yusuf. Let me just clear my drawing, just start fresh. So you're looking at the 1.33306. Let me drop the 15. Okay, so are you talking about this high here? I suppose you are. Yeah, I can see us reacting from that level. I can see us reacting. I like the way that we didn't make a higher high here. We missed out. So we could see price go and run these lows here, potentially bounce from that area, and have a bit of a rally. So yeah, I would argue that as well. You know, overall price has seen some nice bullish structure come into play now. We've got the low, high, higher low, higher high. So potentially could see price go and put another higher low in, another run to the upside as well. Again, I'll probably look at this more kind of like an hourly chart for a trade, just because I want to see a bit more meaningful rejection at this level. But yeah, I do think it's a sufficient trade. I think it does make sense. We broke through that trend line. It looks like more or less price might be coming for a retest of that. And you know, a push back to highs makes a load of sense to me. And there is a world where we go and break structure as well to the upside too. So yeah, Yusuf, I can see that happening. Of course, will it happen? We have to wait for price to get there first and actually react with it to justify that that trade, because number one, we might not get there. Number two, we might just completely break through, which could happen. We need to see price give us evidence of us respecting that level. But yeah, I do like the idea, more so kind of like on the hourly chart. I think it does make sense. Okay, maybe to 142 on UJ. Wrong one. $142. Okay. I mean, if we get to 142, I probably wouldn't be looking for the buy anymore, actually. Because if we get to 142, it would probably be a break of structure as well. And that's kind of my rule. I don't want price to break through the low. I'm not saying that your situation won't happen. Anything could happen. But if price does break the low there, that would put me off any type of longs. Of course, I would expect price to probably have a retracement, but at that stage, I do think we can see more downside than upside. I think we're probably likely to push back to this low and suddenly recover back to the high if we do break structure, of course. Of course, break of structure is not 100% accurate. All the time there will be times where price will break structure, but still continue the trend, or still continue the larger structure of the market as well. But I don't want to be in a situation where price is broken structure. I'm still trying to go against it. So if we do break the lows here, I would back away. I wouldn't become bearish. I just wouldn't be looking to buy the market anymore, because there is still major support below us here for dollar yen, which price could easily come back and retest to bounce on again. You can see major support here, massive reaction, somewhat of a decent reaction there as well. We could come back and revisit that too. But yeah, for dollar yen, I'm still bullish. I still do fancy that swing. The DXY is going to play its role. The yen's going to play its role in that. At the moment, DXY is still just about holding to support. We've got 9 minutes before this 4-hour candle does close. At the moment, it's going to close somewhat like a bullish pin bar here, with that wick to the downside and the bullish body close, which isn't the strongest signal in the world, but it's a signal that price is still respecting this area as support. We've got a nice wick into the zone, a nice wick into the zone yesterday, another wick into that zone again today. That still justifies to me that support is being respected, and we're likely to rally to the opposite direction. Of course, how long for? That's a different question. It might only give us 2-3 candles to the upside before it does potentially later go and break through. I expect a lot more than that, because I'm basically looking for this bullish structure to continue here. So my expectation is very much that, but a lot needs to happen there. But so far, support is being respected, so that's the important thing. And of course, that will help out my Euro short position as well. Thoughts on shorting Euro Swiss off the 200 moving average on the daily? Okay, let's have a look at that. Not the biggest fan of Euro Swiss. I think it's a bit of a sideways market at this moment in time. So by default, it's not really a market which I'll be so keen on trading, especially when I can see us respecting support very well at the lows here. This is like the all-time low support. It's been a very, very bearish market, but we have respected this level pretty well once, twice, third time, and a fourth time. So shorting into that area might be a little bit tricky. I do think you can catch a reaction off the 200 though. It has proven to be pretty decent resistance here. Of course, respected it once, respected it twice. You could argue is respecting a support very well over here as well. The 200 is always a nice place of support and resistance, dynamic support and resistance. The question is how big of a reaction we get from the 200. It could be a situation where you get a full-blown trend. It could be a situation where you get just a day's worth and then price goes and breaks through it shortly afterwards. So I think shorts from 200 makes sense. Basically this kind of 0.94 level. But I wouldn't be looking at anything crazy. I think a nice reaction maybe for a day or two. I'll call it quits. Maybe a push back into support again. But because we respected it on numerous occasions, it does put me off. I know the trend is down, so that is definitely a positive confidence for the trade. The market here has been selling off for a while. By default, sells do make a load of sense. But when you've got a situation where we've created some really significant support and prices had numerous attempts to try and break through, it does tell me that maybe a reversal could be on the cards or somewhat of a bigger recovery to the upside. So I think it's a nice place for a short. It has proven to be a place where sellers have held ground very well. So if we were to return there, I do think we will see another reaction. How big of a reaction is always the answer. Will it be a day's worth? Will it be 3, 4, 5 back into support? Could be a whole trend's worth. But I think the more conservative approach might be the best approach with this situation. Thinking taking it down to the lows, yeah, I think that's a good idea as well. But I would probably look at some other targets before that, or at least a situation where I can remove risk and go to break even. There's nothing wrong trying to trade it back into that support level, but I would probably have some targets before that. That's just my advice or what I would do in that situation. In terms of an entry and a location for a setup, I think it's a great place for a short. It's just, yeah, I think the bears are running out a bit of steam, so that's why I'm a little bit more cautious with this idea. Yusuf, please what your thoughts on pound yen and gold. So pound yen buys is kind of what I'm eyeing up. From a 15-minute time frame, price did look like we were about to rally. We did speak about the buys here yesterday, Yusuf. We did speak about potentially a buy there. I said I actually wasn't sure if we get that pullback, but we actually did actually get the pullback there. I think we're trading maybe here. Yeah, somewhere around here on stream yesterday, I said, because we've got the break of structure now. A retest of this level would be a nice place for a buy. It did get there. It was a very nice buy back into resistance. The only thing is that it didn't continue. Price respected the highs and came back down then and actually broke the lows there too. So now things are a bit awkward again with pound yen really, because it's like bearish structure potentially could continue. It hasn't broke the lows against the downside. That will be the key thing for me. If price does go and break lows against the downside, then that makes pound yen bearish again. So then I'll be looking for another lower high, another push down at that stage. At the moment, that isn't the case. So I would kind of just be backing away from pound yen really. I wouldn't be looking at any opportunity. This was a nice opportunity from yesterday. That's done now. Next opportunity, I need more information. Is price going to head down? Okay, let's break some lows and then let's look for some pullbacks. Is this maybe like a large double bottom and price is going to reverse? Great if that's the case. If we go and take out highs here, then the next plan would be a higher low afterwards, another push up. So I'm not too sure which opportunity is going to form, the push up, pull back, then a continuation, or push down, pull back, then a continuation. Yeah, I'll probably say it's 50-50 at this stage. I mean, from a 4-hour perspective, I do think a rally to the upside is the more likely situation. So I do think we can push up, but I need to see that happen first, of course, especially from a 15-minute perspective, because I wouldn't want to force any buys just yet when the market is still kind of bearish or sideways. So from a 50-minute perspective, no setup really, or at least one that looks clear to me. I need price to go and break the highs or the lows, and then I can look at probably something from then onwards. In terms of gold, 15-minute perspective. Let me clear the chart. So 50-minute perspective, we talked about some buys yesterday. I said if price can rally through resistance here, I feel like that would be a smart place for a buy on the retest, because the market is starting to put these higher lows in. We have since come back to respect support there as well. So it looks like the higher lows are still being respected. Looks like some trendline confluence there, connecting the dots there. So naturally for gold, I would suggest to wait for something like this and this for a buy. And that looks like a beautiful setup, because this is kind of like your last swing to the downside. This is your last major high, which gave you the low there. If you can get a nice breakout to the upside, that would be our break of structure, and not only break of key resistance, it should leave behind some healthy support which we can base a trade from and take gold to the upside. Because what I'm looking at is potentially somewhat of a reversal. We've had a nice bearish trend on the 50-minute for a while. Now I'm looking at maybe a bullish trend forming. So if that is going to happen, we need to go and break resistance, and then we can look to continue those higher lows, try and find the next one, and so on and so forth, and ride that to the upside. So yeah, for gold on the 15, potentially a low, a base here forming for a reversal. If that is the case, let's go and break through some resistance, which would be this level here at 32.50, we can call it, and then hopefully some pullbacks and retests can look good, and that looks like a nice opportunity to me. That might still be a day away or 2 days away from forming, but I think that's a really nice trade to look out for. No problem, Poppy. Happy to help. Pound yen buys look a little dodgy on the weekly. Yeah, I'm actually not really looking to buy pound yen, because I feel like it's a little bit too close to resistance, whereas Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, which are the two yen pairs I like, a little bit further down, where I think there's a more appropriate place for a buy. But yeah, there was a really aggressive wick there last week, which does make things a little bit awkward, to be honest, because it's like resistance is still holding. I just don't like the fact that we wicked through the high there. So yeah, I do agree. That is definitely a red flag. That is definitely a red flag, that aggressive wick. Doesn't mean we can't still push up, but it does lower the probability. And it could actually mean that we might have a deeper retracement before we do push up. As long as we don't take up the low here, I'm still bullish on pound yen. So even if this area doesn't hold, we could still drop a little bit deeper, but we'll see how that swing does develop. But yeah, we have come up to the end of the stream. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Like I said, currently in euro. We're going to see how that gets on. My eyes will be peeled in USD to see how that develops, but I still am looking for a drop there for euro and some upside for the dollar. There's some other pairs I'm looking at. Might look to see if I can get back into pound Aussie. I like the sells there. I like the buys in Aussie CHF as well. So I'm going to see if I can maybe find a double bottom here for a buy. It's not quite there yet, but I'll keep an eye for it. If I do get into any setups, I'll let you guys know. We'll, of course, definitely discuss them on tomorrow's stream as well. I will be live again tomorrow, same time as always, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you are free, pop in, come say hi. And we'll go through some charts, share some ideas, and see if we can catch any opportunities. But guys, I really do thank you for tuning into another stream. I do really appreciate each and every one of you turning up and chatting with myself. You guys make the stream for what it is. I do really appreciate that. If you could do me a favor, drop a like on the stream as well before you leave. It does really help out. promotes the stream, promotes the content on the channel. So I really do appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done it already and you do enjoy the content here. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.